Hi, welcome to Spill the Tea with Bougie Miles. Today I am joined by my very good friend Amelia. Hi, Amelia.
Hi, sweetheart. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you? So, you're one of the few people who seem to be enjoying quarantine, and I want to know why.
I am enjoying quarantine. Before we do that, can I tell you how excited I am to be interviewed by you?
You are?
Just, yeah, absolutely. Because, I have control issues. Well, it's true, I do. And I happen to know, even though you don't, that you, my darling, are going really, really far where you need to go. And I intend to be, I hope, to be interviewed by you many, many times on different forums. So this is just the first one. And, you know, first ones are really good,
That's
usually.
actually what I was thinking, why you wouldn't really mind that we were still like figuring out the logistics.
I
Because
don't,
the next time and the 15 times after that, it's going to be like pro.
let's go. So yeah, quarantine. What's going on around me is absolutely abysmal. I know people who are very ill. I have people who are very dear to me who have passed away. Um, I live in Queens, uh, the epicenter of where the disease is. So it's quite abysmal, apocalyptic, dystopian, whatever you want to call it.
Crazy is what it is.
But inside my home, it's really quite peaceful. So it's the best of times, the worst of times. I'm home, husband's home, kitties are home.
All
Uh,
three of them?
all three of them are home. So I have three kids. Two are in college, one is in high school. Food is delicious. I get gourmet meals every day.
From who? Where?
My daughter cooks. My daughter makes these delicious vegan style desserts. And all of my work, so I'm a litigator, which means I'm in court all the time, but there is no court, which means everything I'm doing is online letters and texting and such. So and I'm busy writing books because that's what I like to do. Yeah, I'm having fun with that. But can I just tell you that I am enjoying the quarantine? I'm so excited to be interviewed by you. Go ahead. I should let you know.
Oh, no, no, no. That's better. Less room for me to screw.
I don't know. I don't screw up on anything.
I know you don't. First things first. What are you watching on Netflix? And don't tell me you're not watching TV, please. I knew it.
So I'm also doing a whole bunch of things like getting my CLEs out of the way. I did a defensive driving class. I became a minister. I'm getting my, things to do. I'm getting my chaplain certification. No, yeah, I really.
I love you so much. I mean, how can I judge? You're just not sitting on your ass watching TV all day. Sounds like a good thing. Any good gossip or anything? I know you hate gossip.
I hate gossip. No, I don't have any. So you and I have met. The way we have become friends is we are both part of a community or a cult known as Point Enthusiasts,
Yes.
a name I just made up. Ice makers being obnoxious is
Can't
about.
hear.
So my background is a refrigerator. Just this is how I roll.
Wait,
So,
that's the refrigerator?
yeah, that's my refrigerator. So
You are so bougie.
I am. Okay, so the way you and I had to get myself on the show somehow, right? So the way you and I have become friends is because we are part of a cult known as Point Enthusiasts, right? And you are a queen, whereas I am a peon, and I someday wish to be you, so not worthy. But in being in this community, everyone kind of has a place. So it really is all welcoming as long as you're not a Am I allowed to use?
Yes, you are.
So as long as you're not a douche, you are welcome in this community, and it's absolutely glorious. I'm absolutely thrilled with it.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about the suite.
You can ask me. I have no problem with it. I love this.
So I'm sort of curious, like, would you, because I feel like people are very interested in you. And I'm wondering if you would, and I'm wondering if you would explain like how you became the Amelia of Amelia's Suite and.
Not Amelia's Suite, it's the Suite.
Well, now it's the Suite.
No, I'll explain it. It's not Amelia's Suite, it's the Suite. So what wound up happening is when you become part of this cult that you and I are part of, there are a lot of subgroups. Most of them are bloggers, and everybody takes a different view of how to do this program. We were part of one, which is no longer. Long story short, part of that group wound up doing a meetup, which is what we do, getting together for purposes of learning, but also just communal and social, which we wound up doing. And it was such a fantastic experience. And what was really interesting about it, this was about a year and a half or so ago, at that particular meetup. And the type of people that got together were so different that it was really something cataclysmic. So age didn't matter, background did not matter. People just came in and were legitimately having a good time together. Mm-hmm. No one was trying to prove I'm better at this than you are. You don't know what you're saying. It has to be done this way. Nothing like that. So there was about 60 or 70 of us who were a subgroup of a subgroup of a subgroup who got together, and we just had such a wonderful time. Some people wanted to keep the party going. So I was part of getting the party going, and that's what we wound up doing. And so 140 of us wound up just sticking around socially. And that became a fantastic thing in and of itself. So people were there just because they wanted to be. The type of people who were there, it became almost familial. Cared about one another, they shared with one another, they wanted to get together with one another, they went on vacation with one another, they stayed at each other's houses, one another, they go out, whatever. So that's what the Suite is. There's about 140 of us, 138 I think was the number last, that are pretty much there. We had a fallout or disagreement, whatever it was, between who was originally hosting the party and who was not hosting the party. So it's still a party. So there was a bar fight, and people went outside, they came back, linens were changed, ice was refilled, there are new bartenders. It's still a party. So we're all just having a good time.
It is a really good time. It's one of those like places you can go and everybody's kind of joking all the time, but we're also sort of like sharing interesting information, and it's a valuable group that I'm very happy to be a part of.
As am I. So and it's absolutely fantastic. And the fact that all of us came together just because we were hanging out and partying physically someplace and are now partying online, it's really good. Sort of, and I happen to like the new bartender, so it's all good.
Larry
and Ash are hosting at the present time, so it's a lot.
Yeah, they're good. Okay, so speaking of this crazy world that we're a part of, what initially attracted you to Miles and Points? And this is sort of a two-part question. Yeah. And do you think that you tend to use them as money or as an accessory to money?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So how did I get into it? I've been with the same guy for 28 years, but the way we got together 28 years ago is my husband is a traveler. He's a global, legitimate explorer, traveler. He knows nothing about miles and points, categorically wouldn't do it. but we have traveled for 28 years just to places that you would have heard of them, but most people would not, because, my husband wakes up and decides, 28 years ago that we need to go see the Verdun. And I didn't know what the heck Verdun was, never mind anything else. It's in France. It's in France. Okay, so we have traveled, and we've traveled with children. We've traveled all over the world. We've traveled staying at Formula One hotels, which is as cheap as you could possibly get. We also stayed in the luxurious 5-star, what have you. But it just so happened, so we do travel. So at that point, the fact that I had status, which I didn't understand, gold, schmold, platinum, I didn't know what any of that was. I didn't, Grace.
I mean, it is the refrigerator.
Along comes the year 2016, and financially I was just rock bottom. My middle daughter came to me and said, "Mama, you said that if I was really interested in doing my uni work in England, you would take me to go look at the schools." And I said, I sure did. And absolutely, sweetie, we will. Meanwhile, my credit cards were maxed out. There was no money coming in. So I was like, well, what the heck am I going to do with this? Meanwhile, I did have a whole bunch of miles and points that I just simply never paid attention to. Like I said, I had all these programs. I did have all these miles, but I didn't really know what to do with them. And I discovered Travel Hacking 101 at that point, which was 2016, 17, around that time. And all of these people were using this phantom, that's the word I was looking for, phantom currency, not a fake currency, but a phantom currency. And they were going places. And I wasn't going for first class, F class, J class. I knew what they were. They weren't what I was going for, but they were using them, and it was not something that they needed to spend money for. And I went, wait, maybe I can do this also, which I did with the immense help of really fantastic people whom I'm now calling family, which is great. And they essentially taught me, as in, look, sweetie, you have a fork. You can put that up. That's how dumb I am, but it wound up doing that. So I took Issa to look at schools. That's my middle one. To look at schools in England. She eventually did go to school in England. She still does, except now that it's quarantine. My husband's traveling. Certain things I figure out how to do, which was global entry. I had global entry before that, but global entry is a benefit that you get with your credit card. I did not know that. I happily paid for it before for myself. Now I knew how to pay for it for everyone else. All my nieces and nephews have it. Now that I'm renewing it, family from the suite is paying for it. So it's like we're kind of exchanging that. So that's how we wound up getting into it, and we travel a lot. We essentially don't pay for the majority of the benefits. Nevertheless, I do shop. I shop a lot. I have a family. I wish I were a minimalist. I am not. I'm active in a lot of different places in the world. So I have a work situation, I'm raising children, I have, which is the biggest output that I have 3 kids with private tuitions. And every time I spend a credit card, I am conscious of what I am earning, the side currency, which I do not have to account for because it is a side currency. Right? I don't have to pay additional taxes on it, which I can then spend on travel. So everybody knows that. Again, nothing secret about it, except for when you're talking to gurus and icons like you who know how to spend them in a completely different way. So how to earn it. So what you're talking about is what I mentioned is there's portal shopping and there's stacking. They do not go bad. And if you line it up with particular specials that they have, and you go through a portal, which is a type of a shopping thing, you stack them in such a way that you're couponing and you're earning points at the same time. The best of the best is when you can stack a portal, a couponing promotion, and an offer from a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Those are fantastic, and I take advantage of them, and my family is trained to take advantage of them, and we do. They're really for the things I normally buy. It's not, let me go shopping and try.
Okay. So it's not like a sport to you.
It's not a sport to me. It's not. I'm actually not a good shopper. I don't enjoy it.
Interesting.
I
Huh.
do not.
Okay. Do you enjoy shopping like in stores for clothing and stuff, or maybe not?
My husband does.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, my husband is the bougiest queen you will ever meet, shopping wise.
Love it.
Yeah, no, we had a vigil when Barney's closed down. It was very sad. Yeah, no, I'm not joking.
Thoughts and prayers.
Oh my God, vigil.
I really enjoy the whole, like, I like a loyalty program.
Yeah.
Like a store loyalty program. And then I love to like figure out how to spend negative dollars. And that's sort of how I relax myself when I'm stressed out.
No, couponing is actually a fantastic economic concept. And if you learn how to coupon, it's economically really a brilliant way of moving funds around.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is it's a marketing ploy. So people wind up buying it and psychologically insist on using it, which is very bad. So if you're working within the way that you are, I will shop for a million things and then donate them. That's just, it's fantastic. It's exactly how it should be. The problem with that, again, is you need to understand the marketing ploy behind it. So DiGiorno's pizza is just not something you should be eating, even though if you're wind up spending and getting it for free and there's 25 of them, and yeah, it just should not be done.
Yeah, no.
But supermarkets are a fantastic thing if you are using coupons, sales, credit card points, and the right credit card.
Right. Yes. Although I don't do supermarkets because I don't leave my house. So
Okay. Again, I have a husband and children who do that.
right. I maybe should get a couple of those.
Stick with one husband. You don't want many of those. Kids, they're really cute until they become teenagers. Then,
Interesting. But I always think, like, who's going to take care of me when I'm old, you know?
yeah. Did you want some of the? I'll lend you mine.
Sure.
Yeah. I really have no complaints. I actually happen to like my kids.
And your kids are gorgeous. Every time you post a picture, I'm like, is she serious?
They are.
Like, these people are stunning.
That is true.
Good genes.
I have nothing to do with that. I'm just extremely grateful.
Oh, no, nothing.
They are gorgeous. They're actually supremely nice people, and I'm enthralled at the way they are making their way in this world and society. I'm truly honored. So yeah, I like my kids.
That's so nice. Tell them to watch this and subscribe. I'm sure they're going to want to see their mom on YouTube anyway.
Well, they don't want to look at YouTube, but they will subscribe because they happen to really like you. Yes.
Okay, so what would you say is your greatest award travel strength?
Well, it's a twofold answer. So with me, I know the value of what I need.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I do not want the suite. I want a higher floor if I'm staying someplace. So I'm absolutely okay with I do not need an upgrade to a suite.
Mm-hmm.
Prefer a higher floor and a smaller room. So I know what I need.
Yes.
I also don't like bathtubs and showers together. So I will downgrade in order to get a more modern shower.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's just one of those silly things, which
Mhm.
certain Ritz-Carltons, by the way, they have modern showers, but only in the smaller rooms. The bigger rooms do not have, the suites do not have that. It's just ridiculous. So I know the value of what I need. I also don't need breakfast because if I'm staying at a regular Marriott, I do not want their breakfast. So it's not a benefit to me. I don't particularly care. How do I pay for it? So what's my biggest thing is I use master currencies. I earn master currencies, and I'm not so concerned about the other currencies. Does that, I know it makes sense to you, but just to back
So you mean like flexible currencies, like ultimate rewards, membership rewards, and you're not like so concerned about flex perks.
precisely. Capital One is not in my wallet at all. Not a currency that I have any interest in. On the other hand, something like UR and MR, so that's membership rewards if you're using American Express cards, or UR if you're using the Chase group of cards and the way you earn them, they can be used by themselves as a currency,
Mm-hmm.
or they can be transferred down. I'm going to use down because it's not really a parallel thing, to certain other programs to top off whatever other awards you have there, and or for a value as it were. So MR and U are really the ones that I focus on. SPG used to be one, just kind of Marriott, but it sort of isn't anymore. MR and U are still a constant, and I don't think that's going to change, although the values are going to change.
Sure.
But I still think I'm kind of okay with that. So that's my biggest strength. I earn well in the MR and UR boards, and I'm aware of where to transfer them for my benefits.
So would you say that you're not Team Hyatt only when it comes to your ultimate rewards points?
Definitely not. So my ultimate rewards do go to Hyatt. I don't understand the difference. No, I do understand the difference. I'm not Team Hyatt or Hyatt for Life or Marriott Platinum Titanium Lifestyle or Hilton. I don't see the reason for it, and I stay outside of those places.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely not going to be bound to a program just so that I can maintain a status or points. Not necessary for me.
I honestly can't think of one way that our ethos in all of this differs. Everything you say is exactly what I say.
Because I keep trying to tell you, you have the absolutely golden scepter, and like once you take your throne appropriately, we will all follow.
Takes one to know one, so I will take that. Thank you.
I'm not sitting here wanting a return to normalcy.
Mm-hmm. It's good to shake things up every once in a while.
It is.
I can leave my house, though. I need to leave.
I know, but to be honest, so I have everything in my apartment that I would otherwise get, except for perhaps a view. So I do not have a gorgeous beach right outside that window, which I wish was there. And sound of the waves would be fantastic. But if you go on YouTube, there's plenty of rainstorms in the jungle, waves fly and such, which would be really nice if it were outside my window. But that's, again, I have every element of a luxury hotel in my house. I have the culinary experiences because I'm a snob and I live in New York. So every element here. And I'm a foodie, so it's right there. I think traveling is going to take a lot more paths, which I think is fantastic. I think there'll be experts coming up in the field that will look at it in a different viewpoint. I'm so excited to be doing this. Let me ask you a question. You have any trips planned?
I do, ones that I haven't canceled yet.
Yeah. But
So
actually think will happen.
I do. I think that July trips are gonna happen. And that's our standard Vegas and LA. And then I don't know if you know, but I had to cancel my solo UK trip to see the Bare Naked Ladies and meet them. And they rescheduled that for November. So I'm just praying. Otherwise, the minute I can, I'm going to probably Malaysia, and I'm going to take some ridiculous routes to get there so that I can fly like every first product. And I just can't wait because I have so many miles and points right now. Like they're just, they're like earning interest. It's killing me.
They're not earning interest.
In my mind, they are.
They're not. They're a phantom currency. We do not earn interest. We do not have to pay taxes on them. Let's be very clear about this.
That's actually something that I hope I'm wrong about, but I have a feeling that's going to change.
It would be interesting. So you do not normally articulate this, but you've done the law school thing, sweetie. So you do think like a lawyer.
Yeah. And once they started sending out those 1099s.
I had a real problem with that. I would have fought on that. I did not get one. But we've talked about this a lot in our circles. I would have fought it. It's such a minor number, to be honest with you, that it's not worth getting into.
Mm-hmm.
But on a technicality, it does not work. It's not a proper 1099.
Right. So according to what, like federal law, right? They're not taxable because they're not actually an instrument, like
it's a phantom currency. It has no value outside of its purpose, which is to pay for travel. And what wound up happening, just to back up for those who did not know, is American Express was giving bonuses to someone who had referred out. And then if you had given them out, they put a value on it and sent a 1099 for that value. And that was an extraordinarily high value.
Yes.
So, and still, it was not so high that you would go into a fight with IRS with.
Well, what if I redeemed 3 million membership rewards points for Hilton?
Right. So the value of this currency is what differentiates a noob like me and an icon like you, because you could take 100,000 MR points and either get a ticket that costs $1,000 or 3 tickets that cost $27,000 for that $100,000. Do you know how I got that one?
Yes.
How do I get this one? Go on.
You did a transfer bonus?
A transfer bonus from MR to Virgin Atlantic.
Okay.
30% they will give it to you, and you wind up getting 3 Delta Ones on, which is about for 100,000 MR points. Anyone pretty much can get a $1,000 ticket or 2 $500 dollar tickets, which is standard conversion.
Right.
Another way of doing it is if you are lucky enough to transfer that 100,000 to Virgin Atlantic with a 30% bonus, which would give you a little less than, but more or less 150 Virgin points, Virgin Atlantic points. You can get various 50,000 Delta One, that's 3 Delta One flight, which are $9,000 a piece.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's value.
Same $100,000 MR could either be $1,000 spent or $27,000 spent. We were talking about 1099 and the value of what a point is. And I brought up that somebody with experience could take 100,000 MR points and with no experience evaluate them at $1,000. So 100,000 MR points, here's $1,000. I bought 2 Delta tickets flying from New York to LA, $500 a piece. I got 2, that's $1,000 or 100,000 MRs or Deltas, doesn't matter. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. However, if you know certain tricks and have been doing this for a while and transfer it with a 30% bonus to Virgin Atlantic and are able to find on Virgin Atlantic Delta One flights, you have gotten the value of $27,000 with the same 100,000 MRs, right? So are you evaluating those 100,000 MR points as $1,000 or $27,000? Same 100,000 MRs, $1,000 or $27,000. Okay. So that was the one conversation. Yeah, but you want to talk about old timers? So when I first started traveling back 28 years ago, 20, whatever it was, my favorite card at that time was my green Amex card. And the reason it was my favorite is because in those days, you used traveler checks to change money. And I hate traveler checks, like you couldn't use traveler checks. I absolutely hated them. I categorically refused to use them. And you couldn't use ATMs internationally.
Interesting.
So you just couldn't use ATMs internationally. So if you had an account at Chase or Citibank, or in fact, Chase and Citibank, you couldn't even use their ATMs. This is 1990. One was Cirrus, one was Nice. It was just completely different networks. You couldn't use a Chase ATM card to take money out of Citibank. Never mind going abroad and doing that, unless you had an American Express card. American Express card did have various relations with different banks in Europe, so it would hook up your green or whatever color you happen to have had American Express card, and you could use it as an ATM card to take money out of your own account, because Amex is a charge card. It's not a credit card like MasterCard or Visa. You could use it to take out money out of your own checking account from the United States.
That's cool.
It was so cool. I was the shit. It was so cool.
Yeah, my favorite
what the hell are you talking about? I have my Charles Schwab. I take money out of whatever the hell I want. So does the same thing. What are you talking about? My kids are like, I don't get it. Like if I try to explain it, like I don't get it.
I mean, I guess I'm old enough that I get it. Also, because I seem to only ever remember my platinum card. My business platinum card is the only card I ever like always remember, even though it's not the best for spending. It's just like the one that I feel like I just want to have on me for like security. I can't explain it.
I agree with you.
I understand.
I absolutely do the same. No, absolutely. I do the same. And I've gotten the benefits for it, and it's worked really well for me. And the higher the luxury, the bougie hotels of the world value their relationship with FHR, with American Express.
Absolutely.
I had a situation where I was staying in Hotel de Crillon in France. In France, I wound up with a situation. I normally do not wind up in situations, so I wound up chit-chatting with them, and they made me an offer, which I absolutely refused. I think we should do this. And it's like, no, 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 c'est impossible, or it's impossible, or Italy is absolutely the worst with that. But this was in France, and it's like, let me call American Express and have them explain it. I think it may be a language barrier, which it was not. There's no reason to call American Express, madam. I'll just do what you ask. Thank you very much.
That's amazing. That like unwritten benefits.
Yeah, so they do that a lot, and I'm quite fond of it. Italy is another one where, so my surname is Italian, so I wind up getting treated sometimes as an Italian, although my persona is very much New York and American. So it's not always the best thing there. And it's seen as abrasive regardless of how I do. So I'll fall into the Russian category. So I will play all three personas any which way I want to my benefit.
That's awesome.
But American Express is always something that you hold out and you put in, and it gives you not even the allure, it gives you the status. So it is my favorite card, absolutely.
Amelia, thank you so much. It's been my pleasure, and I was so happy to see you. And hopefully we'll get to do this again soon when I have the right setup going.
We can do this every time, anytime, without the record button.
Yes. Okay. Love you. Thank you.
Hugs and kisses.
Hugs and kisses. Now let's see if I can end this.